Okay, we're going to be learning an interesting piece here from Sichos Aran, which has great relevance to our psychological state on Shabbos. And I think one can glean the wisdoms from this specific teaching from Rabbi Nachman to general engagement with life as well. Let's have a look. It's going to be in the actual wording. I've sent it out on the WhatsApp platform. We'll go through it together. It's a little bit different from what we generally learn in the morning, but I think a very unique, insight and very, very special learning for the Shabbos coming up that we can integrate into our own lives. So Rabbi Nachman teaches the following. Shaykh l'siman yud zayin b'lukutei tanina. Hamaschil tzarech lezayin ma'od liyos b'simcha b'Shabbos. Says here that a person needs to be overly cautious. Yeah? Overly careful, overly cautious to be happy on Shabbos. Amazing concept, yeah? You would think a person has to be overly cautious with, with the laws of Shabbos. These are all givens. Here we're seeing that Rabbi Nachman is saying, what is the fundamental activity or psychological state that a person needs to be very careful to engender is that of happiness on Shabbos. You have to be happy on Shabbos. Kol zeh amar belel Shabbos kodesh b'tchilas shah lo yisi. So he said all of this on the Friday night of Shabbos. He was with his student Rabbi Nosson, and he asked him, Rabbi Nachman asked Rabbi Nosson, his closest or one of his closest Talmidim, Ha'ata sameach b'Shabbos? Yeah? He asked his friend, he asked his student, are you happy on Shabbos? Are you happy on Shabbos? He said, Rabbi Nachman. His Shafti, he says back to him, Ani lepamim nesorer alai ezi yira b'Shabbos. He says, well, to be honest with you, sometimes I have, some types of fear that come into me on Shabbos. Sometimes I'm afraid of things, things come up to me that I'm not comfortable about. Everyone has their own fears. It could be fears within their own state of growth. It could be fears within the elements of what we refer to as proactivity, what they need to do in life. It could be fears in their spirituality, etc., etc. There's certain fears that may come up on Shabbos. The Heishiv. And you know what Rabbi Nachman says back to him? Loi kach hu. This is not how it has to be. This is not how it should be. Ha'ikar hu simche. He says the main foundation, the main thing on Shabbos is simcha, happiness. And he would admonish me. I mean, check this, who gets admonished to be happy? Imagine that, to get admonished that you're not happy enough. You get punished for not being happy enough. Yeah? So Rabbi Nachman is admonishing his student for not being happy enough on Shabbos. As he writes there in the fourth line, he's quoting a teaching from Likutei Moharan. It's spoken about the greatness of the element or attribute or mindset, psychological state of joy, of happiness on Shabbos, how great it is, what it can actually achieve for a person to enter into the state of simcha on Shabbos. I mean, it's an amazing concept here. He says, if you're worried about your awe of God, if you're worried about this concept of being in awe and having a state of what we refer to as a yira, which is a sensitivity to God's presence, that you don't want to you don't want to have a lack of awareness and consciousness of God in our lives. He says that its seeding, its source, its home base is essentially manufactured or created or powered from happiness on Shabbos. Yeah, you can't access the state of awe of God if you don't experience what it means to have a state of joy on Shabbos. The main thing that a person needs to be focusing on Shabbos is happiness, is simcha. He says he would admonish us, and specifically me. Rabbi Nosson says he would specifically admonish me to be misgaber, to be happy. What that means is we have a choice in terms of how we turn up the volume of our happiness. Happiness is not something that, itself comes into our lives. We are in control of the volume, so to speak, of how happy we want to be. But toiv leiv b'Shabbos, and to be in a state of toiv leiv, a state of gratitude, a state of kindness, a state of connectivity, that's up to us. So he says, Shabbos essentially is the playground of happiness. Shabbos is the environment of where we need to really work on our states of happiness, on working on turning up that volume. So what does he say you should do? Laharbos b'tamugei Shabbos. You should enjoy the elements of enjoyment on Shabbos. V'chulei kenidfas sham. So he speaks about the different things that a person should do. We'll see if he goes into them here. We know that all of our expenditure is essentially something that eats into our yearly budget that is attributed to what is given to us on Rosh Hashanah, apart from what we spend on Shabbos. V'tanugei Shabbos, v'chulei k'nidros Sham, v'yom tov, as well as the day of Yom Tov. Amar haloi gam baal habayis posho to sameach v'Shabbos v'hadagim v'hatipitza. Tipitze shaloi. I don't know what a hazupitze is. It's some type of food. Zupitze. If anyone knows, you'll let us know when I unmute you later on. But he says we should be happy with our fish. I mean, what an interesting concept here. Take your fish, and when you eat it, enjoy it. Be happy with your fish. That's a very high spiritual level, to be happy with your fish on Shabbos and your zupitza. If you know it, it sounds like a pizza, but I doubt you're ordering pizza on Shabbos. Check this out. He says to his student, Rabbi Nosson, I know that now, after I've told you this, I know that you're depressed. Yeah, he says, I know now you're in your Mara Shechera. Mara Shechera is the black bile has started to poison you. I know. What does that mean? So he says a person can fall into depression after hearing this, because they're going to enter into Shabbos and they're not going to be happy. They're going to be sad. They're going to be upset. And they're going to say, Oi, Gewalt, I'm meant to be happy on Shabbos. And that somewhat perpetuates a state of negativity and self-abrasive thoughts and depression. Rabbi Nosson says, with all honesty, he actually got me. He really understood that that's what I was feeling. I was actually really despondent when I heard him say you have to be happy on Shabbos. And when I enter into Shabbos, he says, and I'm in Shabbos, okay, I enjoy my fish. I'm davening. To tell you the truth, I'm not happy. I'm not always happy. I'm not really holding on to the banner of happiness. He says the truth is, when Rabbi Nachman was admonishing him to be happy on Shabbos, he says, truthfully, all of these thoughts came into my mind, all of these worries, daigos. How am I meant to be happy on Shabbos? The three words that he says, now will be for you. Now will be for you. He says, buddy, Rabbi Nachman says to him, no, there's no room here on Shabbos for you to be depressed. Even if you're depressed about being depressed, no room. You have to rise up, get stronger, put up the volume of simcha, of happiness. There's no role here, no room here whatsoever for your mara shachayre, he says, on Shabbos. It doesn't have a place. It's an unwanted, uninvited guest. And when he told him this, it says it strengthened him, because it's almost when he was commanded, it's almost when he said that this is a responsibility. And it's a very unique concept here. How does that strengthen a person? How does it strengthen a person when it says you're responsible to be happy? How does it strengthen you to be happy? Well, if we look at our emotions as something that are in control of us, then when I'm feeling sad, God forbid, then I let it sort of exist. When I feel a certain way, I sort of allow it, and maybe it festers a little bit more, and I maybe go into it and almost engage with that negativity. But it says here, it just strikes me the most disgusting example to give you maybe a comparison. I remember, back in high school, you'd have these kids that came with casts around their broken arms or whatever it was. And after the cast has been on their arm for a couple of weeks or a month or so, there's like a stench that starts to be emitted from beneath this cast, of this disgusting stench. And I recall like a few of the students taking pleasure in smelling the stench, actually engaging with the stench. And it strikes me the same when the stench of depression or the stench of anxiety or worry comes up. It's like we have this strange fetish of smelling it, of engaging with it, of focusing on it. Like, so interesting. So let me stay with it. And what we're learning here from Shabbos is no, you don't engage with the stench. You overpower it with the actual smell of joy, of happiness that exists on Shabbos. It's an obligation to rise it up. When you feel sad, you say, no, there's no place to be sad on Shabbos. No place. So he says here to conclude, it strengthened me a lot. That he realized it's an obligation. Our emotions aren't something that play on us. We are the musicians here and can utilize these energies. And when we see that the only obligation for Shabbos is simcha, then we have to play that instrument. So as he carried on to admonish me to be happy, I said back to him, Rabbi Nosson, he's being very open here about his own experience. He says to Rabbi Nachman, I really want to be happy on Shabbos. I do. But kavanasi haya im eini zoicha l'simcha b'Shabbos al kol panim ani roitzim yodies b'simcha kva shamati harbe memenu amigdal ma'ila sarotza v'kisufin. So this very much ties into what we learned yesterday. But he says, in stipulating that he wants to be happy, in stating that he wants to be happy, he taps into what we discussed yesterday of the tongues being made with the tongues, if you recall. And what were the tongues being made with the tongues? Was our ratzon. That if we don't feel the happiness, at least tap into the desire to want to be happy. The experience inside of us that wants to be happy. It's almost like there's like a place inside people that doesn't want to be happy. They think they want to be happy, but they don't. They want to be sad because it's almost when you hit rock bottom, you can't get any lower. You create a consistency of worry, fear, and anxiety where there's nothing else to sort of shake you. But what we're seeing here is no, even to start off with the element of wanting to be happy. Let's see what he says back to him. Ana v'amar lo'olam hashamatem mashu oimer, heitev asher diber, gam achiach oisanu. As the Zamez Zmiris at Shabbos, he says to him, no, did you not hear, he said, what I said? Did you not hear clearly what I said to you? He said, I said to you, you have to be happy. It's not even a question of you want to be happy. You have to be happy. We'll end off with this. He says, he also admonished us to sing Shabbos Zmiris, to sing the songs of Shabbos. Harbe, a lot. Lively, and not to look around at the table or anyone that's sitting there and says, no, we don't want to hear the Shabbos Zmiris. That it looks like they don't want the Zmiris. Yeah. Normally people are feeling a little bit, miffed from the week. They're a little bit stressed. They don't want to hear singing. No one wants to sing. Leave it alone. Okay, let's finish our meal, go to sleep type of thing. What he's saying here is, be strengthened, be alacritous, be very focused in singing those Zmiris, in singing the Shabbos songs with joy. To guide your table over Shabbos, that it should be infused with a state of joy and happiness, because that is the essence of Shabbos, to be happy, okay? And if we tap into those elements, if we tap into that energy, we'll be able to galvanize that nutrients into the week and into the essence of who we are, and then we can actually tap into really the essence of the soul. So we'll open it up for you for a few questions. If anyone has any questions of this teaching, let's have a look. All right.
Rabbi?
Yes.
Rabbi, shukayach to you, and I presume that's your wife in the video yesterday. She gave the talk.
Thank you, Philip. Yes. Thank you very much.
She's a very beautiful lady.
Thank you. I'll let her know. Thank you, Philip.
Okay. And she speaks well.
Thank you. All right. Anyone want to comment? Thank you, Philip, for creating some joy for us. Yes, Jenny. Let's see if we can. Yes. Okay.
I always come up with things that are not essential, but it's just a thought that I'm having. When people teach about Shabbat, they teach all kinds of mitzvot, practical mitzvot. When you're choosing to teach about Shabbat, people don't seem to teach that. They teach, all the things we shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But this would be an amazing thing, if you were to choose. When I was married, I used to think I was better than my husband because I was Shomer Shabbat and he wasn't. And I realized many years later that he had his own sets of mitzvot that he was brilliant at that I wasn't good at. And, it's just interesting when one thinks about what are the mitzvot on Shabbat that are so important. If somebody didn't do something and they could only do 3 things, I think this would be an amazing one to be doing.
Yeah, I think,
because eventually this would lead to some stuff.
Yeah, I think they all go hand in hand, Jenny. The laws of Shabbos are essentially there to create that simcha. They're essentially there to protect us from the vicissitudes of the world and the flux of the world, to create an environment for us to expand into joy. And that's the point of this. And if you really look at Judaism as well, all of the mitzvahs, the essence of the mitzvahs is to have a state of serenity, a state of connectivity, a state of presence in life. So yes, essentially we are speaking about the crux and the aim and the focus of everything here. Shabbos is all about simcha. That's what it's about. And we lose track of that. We think it's about, what we can and can't do. But if you look at any environment, let's say you want to go play tennis, you can't play tennis if you don't have lines on the court. You won't be able to play a good game of tennis if you don't have the net and the lines on the court and the different boundaries that are set into that game of tennis. Same too, we're understanding. You're not going to be able to tap into the essence of simcha on Shabbos, easily when you have the confusion and the environment essentially itself of Shabbos is somewhat diminished. So I think you're right. This has to be taught. This has to be engaged with, and this has to be emphasized in our own practice of Shabbos, whatever level we're on. But it should also motivate a more deliberate experience of the guidelines and boundaries of Shabbos to understand really what they're there for. They're there, and all the boundaries and guidelines of Judaism are there to create a sensitivity to mindfulness and to simcha and to connection to the essence. Yeah, so you're right. It's a very fundamental point, and definitely we should start off with teaching these essential elements and to even work on states of simcha. But I do want to emphasize that it goes hand in hand. These elements go hand in hand with the laws as well. Yeah, but I appreciate your point there. Very, very, very salient point. Thank you for that, Jenny. Any final points here before we conclude and start preparing our fish for Shabbos? All right. Final. Oh, Jenny, you have something to say? No. Okay. All right. Gary, we'll just say your names to awaken you if you want to potentially speak there. Mark, Philip, Alan, Philip, Jacques. I didn't have to say Philip twice there. Derek, and Professor, gracias. You're all good, focused, enlivened, enjoyed. Gewaldig. Beautiful, guys. It should have a beautiful Shabbos with lots of simcha, and you should enjoy your fish and your pizza. I don't know what that was. If you know what he was talking about there. Zupitze. I don't know what that is, but if you find out what zupitze is, let's eat it together. Mirz Hashem. All the best, everyone. Lots of love and brocha, and we'll see you next week, God willing. For those who are joining us for Gemara, we'll see you at 12. Bye.